In 2 weeks, it's going to be exactly a year since Australians said no to the voice, no to the Albanese government's plan to divide us by race in the Constitution by creating a kind of advisory parliament just for Aborigines. Now, I think it's actually critical to learn the real lessons from that expensive farce that divided the country and cost us about $450 million, your money. But here we go again. Some of the Aboriginal leaders of that disastrous campaign are now placing the blame on white politicians, specifically Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton, for somehow freezing them out and therefore losing them this voice. Yes 23 campaign director Dean Parkin and Uluru Dialogue co-convener Megan Davis, who had so much to do with writing the whole proposal, the voice legislation, now blame the politicians for making them somehow invisible in the debate, with Parkin playing the race card, writing, "It became the opposition's argument with the Prime Minister. We," meaning Aboriginal leaders, "weren't even respected enough as opponents to have a go at us. There is something very telling and dismissive of Indigenous peoples." It was very demeaning. Now, I find that such a cop-out because I remember, for instance, being part of a debate with Parkin, and I found he had no answers, and not surprising, he made no splash in the campaign. And more importantly, the No campaign was actually led by two people, both with Aboriginal heritage, who more than anyone else in this country destroyed the Yes campaign. They were Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price and Warren Mundine, who joins me now. Warren, great to see you. So are these Yes campaigners right that they and other Yes campaigners, such as Marsha Langton and Noel Pearson, all Aboriginal heritage, were somehow rendered invisible, that the white politicians took over and all this was dismissive of Aboriginal people? What lessons do you think we have from this?
Mate, they were as invisible as a streaker at the AFL Grand Final. Mate, look, I said from the very beginning of this campaign back in September 2022 that no matter what the result was, whether it was a yes or whether it was a no, on the Sunday I was going to get out of bed and work with my opponents and the team and my team to actually fix things that are problems within our community, the jobs, the education, the health services, everything, and work on that and move forward. I think these people have got to stop whinging and complaining and blaming other people and actually look in the mirror. It was their idea. They're the ones who prosecuted their case, you know, and they're the ones that had millions and millions of dollars to spend. They've still got millions of dollars left over in their budget, and they're whinging and complaining and about everyone. I just wrote a paper just in the last month about the way forward we have to go, looking at education, jobs, the crime rates and the governance and that to get it all fixed. What have they done? They've just whinged and blamed everyone else for what's happening.
Yeah, but this whole idea that somehow the campaign was racist, dismissive, insulting by ignoring Aboriginal voices. Like I said, I can't, I can't count how many times that you and Jacinta Price were in the media, how many times you were on this show, how many times you were on so many other shows. Jacinta was everywhere. Basically, you were listened to all right. And on the other side, in the Yes campaign, how many votes did Marsha Langton cost the Yes campaign? I would have been very happy for the Yes campaign to focus on her, but she was a disaster.
Oh, she was a dreadful disaster. Look, and she wasn't the only one. There's a whole group of them. That if they
Linda Burney?
If they weren't out there attacking people, abusing people, then they were attacking and abusing themselves. You know, look, I just wish they'd actually, grow up a bit and start focusing on Australians. It was obviously in this campaign they didn't understand Australians. They didn't know anything about Australians. In fact, they hardly ever met Australians. We were out there every day doing at least 5 interviews a day, 2 rallies a day, in some cases, 2 states a day out there talking to people on the ground, because we wanted to talk to the Australian people, because the corporates weren't with us, the Law Society wasn't with us, the Bar Association wasn't with us, football clubs weren't with us, you know, all the rich end of town weren't, and the inner city people weren't with us, but we went out there and talked to people. In fact, we were on 20% when we kicked the campaign off, and they were on 80%. But we went out there and spoke to the Australian people, listened to them, saw what was going on, and we come up with solutions and everything. And the first thing was, people did not want to put race in the Constitution. They wanted everyone to be treated equal. They wanted everyone to be treated equal. And the other big thing, which I can't understand the Yes campaigners are still carrying on about, is all Australians, whether they're Yes voters or no voters, told us quite clearly that they wanted things fixed. And that's what they should be doing now. They should be working with us. I'm happy to work with them to actually get clear outcomes so we fix all these issues and we move forward. You know, look, it's 12 months, it's nearly 12 months. Stop whinging about it. Let's start moving forward and actually fixing things.
Well, and fixing it as people together instead of dividing us by race. And I tell you what, these guys insult the fact that the Minister for Indigenous Australians in this debate was Linda Burney, was herself of Aboriginal heritage, and we sure listened to her, and that was one of the problems with the Yes campaign. She too had no answers.